Move on to the Dochertys.
Let's do that. Here is the transcript. It has finally come out. It's a huge team effort. It's taken weeks. I'm going to give you at least a link, which I know from the chat box is working. It's not ideal, but it will work. If you want to read it straight away, it's www.ukcolumn.org/document, T on the end, no S, so /document/Docherty-transcript, and that's DOCHERTY-transcript. But we'll also be putting a more prominent link.
So there should be a .pdf on the end of that?
Well, that's right. That's the upload page, which is short to read out. And if you go to that bottom of that page, you will read the PDF. The longer link is also working, the one straight to the PDF. Now, here's what the printout of the PDF looks like. If we can have me back on screen, please, Theo. Thank you. There we are. It's taken volunteers in several jurisdictions. It is this thick.
This is an amazing amount of work, and we'd like to thank all the people that have given their time and expertise to do this.
So it takes a weekend to read, which is why we're uploading it on a Friday. We now have a member of the Scottish Parliament who would not like publicity at this stage, looking at it seriously on behalf of the Dochertys, which is a first. And I'm going to spend a couple of minutes doing a couple of things, if I may. Now, this is going to be a mouthful, but it's intended to be. For those who are overwhelmed by what the Docherty stuff is all about, I'm going to read you the table of contents. It's going to take a couple of minutes. So this is a chronology of what has been done to the Dochertys. The suspected paedophile makes his demand in August 2014. The threats begin. Viscount Petersham threatens to have the children taken. Viscount Petersham attempts to evict the Dochertys. The Dochertys first attempt to report the suspected paedophile. The UK National Crime Agency refuses to take a report. There is an emergency meeting of the Viscount's high-status associates. A local police sergeant tells the Dochertys not to report the threat. The local sergeant colludes with the alleged paedophile and protector. The suspected paedophile, Alan Lowe, immediately digs up the Crim and Mogate estate at night, and on that I will say that we have a police source since who, as David said last week, has told us that the bodies of children were dumped at sea after being dug up from there. Attacks continue on the Dochertys' house and garden. The Aberdeenshire authorities take an interest in the Dochertys' children. Police Scotland instruct Aberdeenshire Social Services to investigate the Dochertys. Social work managers lie about not having received the Dochertys' paperwork. Social Services demand to assess the Dochertys. I fast forward to the outcome of the police complaints procedure, and then we return to the 2014 chronology. No lawyer in Scotland would touch the case. The Dochertys flee to Ireland. Tipperary Gardaí Irish police show up. The Garda superintendent had been told Interpol wanted the Dochertys. There was no trace of the claimed Interpol alert. The Dochertys stay in Ireland, moving to County Mayo. A dossier of senior corruption allegations is handed to the subject of the allegations. Cross-border surveillance, November 2014. The Dochertys are bullied by the Garda Armed Response Unit, January 2015. No court documents. Constitution is said not to apply to the Dochertys by the police who come. There is no lawyer offered and no legal rights. Irish social workers continue an international Dochertys task force with Scotland and drive a new UK car in Ireland. A pack of lies arrives from Scotland. This is Phyllis Smart, I believe her name is. The risk of abuse in this report is said to be by the children's grandfather who died 5 years previously. The children are seized for the first time, January 2015. The Dochertys are, by pre-arrangement with social services, referred to a psychiatrist by a local doctor who says, "I'm here to refer you to the psychologist." If you report paedophilia in Ireland, you must be mentally ill. Social workers are spotted pre-cooking the psychiatric assessment. The Dochertys try to find a psychiatrist in Ireland. The children are returned for the time being by an Irish judge in February 2015. After the Irish judge finds for the Dochertys, intimidation increases. A mental health nurse using a bogus name offers free psychiatric treatment assessment. In quotes. An Irish judge strikes out the Scottish claims and Police Scotland complain about the Dochertys. Scottish claims are nevertheless revived in Ireland through the Irish Guardian's report, which copies the Scottish information. Following the children's return to the parents, Police Scotland say they want to arrest the parents. There is a wall of silence from the Scottish authorities. There is frantic correspondence which is ignored. The Garda Ombudsman finds the Dochertys' complaint admissible, but then says he wants to arrest the Dochertys. The Scottish police complaint handling then comes in. Then the Dochertys are targeted by London and Dublin-based hackers. The Dochertys' dogs are tortured with tasers. It is unsafe to leave the house to earn their keep. The Dochertys are continually in both fight and flight mode. Publicity begins to be drawn to the case. Irish investigative journalists from the national broadcaster RTE and the Irish Taoiseach Prime Minister's staff are set up to cultivate the Dochertys and pretend to be interested. The Dochertys' water is poisoned. The Dochertys are now never given the notes used to take the children. Their mail is tampered with. On the 15th of December 2015, they write letters to the political leadership in Ireland, and the day afterwards they are raided. The children are again seized. No warrant is produced by Donegal Armed Response Unit. There is now no pretence that this is a child protection case. The eldest daughter, being carted off to Garda station, is mocked the whole hour-long journey in the car for being Christian by a social worker or policewoman. There is a first court hearing. I'll skip some of this now because it goes on and on and on and on and on. Then we find that Irish social workers are very closely allied to Scots, and they're copying Scottish information again. One of these, Mary Malley, says in court that Mr. Docherty is the paedophile and he's just projecting onto Viscount Petersham. Then we get on to judicial corruption. Then we have the Irish state's lawyer formulating the judge's ruling in court, and the rulings given in court are: 1, never mention this hearing; 2, you must be evaluated by a psychiatrist of the other party's choosing; and 3, you must stop naming those you are complaining about. That was a family court ruling, with no mention of the children at all. Attacks intensified. The raid is timed for Christmas to stop them appealing within the 2-week window, but they do. Then they discover that the other party's lawyers have the monopoly for court transcripts in County Donegal. So the transcripts are being produced by the other side. Then Donegal Social Work relocates for one case only to the mental hospital in Letterkenny, so that if they Dochertys appear, they can be sectioned on the spot without giving their consent, because you've given your consent by being there. Then a priest refers the Dochertys to an ominous counsellor and thug. The counsellor, who tries to kill them when they visit his remote cottage, recommends a particular lawyer. This lawyer then takes their documents, doesn't see them till the day in court, and then lies in court that the Dochertys have consented to their children being taken. At this point, policemen are keeping them out of court. Then the judges subsequently say, right up to the Supreme Court in Ireland, you've already consented to your children being taken, so we're not going to give you an appeal, we're not going to give you a judicial review. And when they go for a writ of habeas corpus, they're told, we're going to have to liaise. Well, they're not told, but the judge, for the first time in Irish history, leaves the High Court, liaises with the Supreme, the Irish Chief Justice, and with the corrupt judge from the previous case, and comes back and says, you're not having your habeas corpus. The other side need to present their story, which has never been part of habeas corpus. Investigative journalists tried to steal the Dochertys' passwords. Emails to the Information Commissioner are wiped. A drunk Garda policeman sidles up to the Dochertys at Mass and tries to steal documents from Mrs. Docherty's handbag. Their car is sabotaged. The Garda won't turn up. Police Scotland, by mistake, send an email back to the Dochertys with the word FUCK in the subject line. By the way, a Scot later called out in a Scottish accent FUCK when he realised that the Dochertys' house had not been successfully set on fire. This is all in Ireland, Scottish agents in Ireland. Then the Dochertys find that their toddler has been injured in care with various injuries, fingernails on the cheek, a black eye. They try to take a picture of this, and then they're told immediately, your mental health is insufficient, we're not going to continue this meeting. Then they're after the camera, of course. The Dochertys feel unsafe in the Republic. They go to Northern Ireland and have, quote, the most surreal 10 days of their life. The police service of Northern Ireland at least is surveilling them, and also seems to be in league with the men who come to their holiday home and block them in and turf their stuff out, trying to steal the documents which incriminate people around Viscount Petersham. The upshot is they're left without children, home, possessions or money, and have to go back to Scotland as foot passengers. They escape over a field and a wall from a monastery, where the Roman Catholic Church has got a network that's tipped off people in 3 countries to their presence. They go back to foot passengers to Scotland. Police Scotland realise they've given them the slip because they were foot passengers, and then tip off the Irish Garda, look out for them coming back as foot passengers, but this time they're in a car which has been given by a well-wisher, so they escape that way while the Garda are combing through the foot passengers. That's the point at which habeas corpus dies in Ireland on the 25th of May 2016, and it's Judge Robert Horton who has that note in Irish history. He's removed common law from Ireland. The Dochertys then review their experiences and request specific help from the public, and I'm going to go through that help, which is much shorter, in a moment, but I've been speaking a few minutes, so I'll hand over to Brian and Mike for a moment.
Well, the simplest thing for me to say, Alex, is that the comments coming up in our chat box are, what has happened to the rule of law? And of course, what we are now seeing is the irrefutable evidence that the rule of law, certainly in UK, so we're going to say England and Scotland, but it also appears now Southern Ireland has completely broken down. There is no law. And short of having your children taken, what might the law do? Resort to torture or murder? These are very, very dark, sinister times, but the evidence coming to the surface. And probably it's appropriate for me to say this is why the British Constitution Group at the moment has renewed the campaign on the single theme of restoring the proper rule of law, because until we do that, this is not only going to continue, it's going to get worse, because of course the state is going to lie and lie to cover up its criminal activities.
And for those outside Scotland and Ireland, I should say Scottish and Irish society is clannish. It's not for nothing that the word clannish comes from Gaelic. And Scotland and Ireland astonished the world for their good points, for their beauty, both of landscape and of people, and their long history of struggling for sovereignty and the rule of law. But what's inverted it now in Scotland, and I think even people in England and Wales are not aware of this, let alone overseas, is you've got this tripartite clique now of Freemasonry, which is largely Protestant, the Roman Catholic hierarchy, and the political thuggery, the IRA and the Loyalists. It's more the IRA who feature in this story. And these people in public roles, independent commissioners, police reviewers, social service chiefs, often they're married to each other, or they're having affairs with each other, we found in this case. And we often find that they are lying about their nationality or something. So with that in mind, this is what the Dochertys are asking for help on right now. So if you're watching in Ireland or Scotland particularly, we would love to hear from you at dochertyinvestigation@ukcolumn.org. No dot there. DOCHERTYI investigation@ukcolumn.org. Here are their 10 questions. 1. Is Bridgene Smith, the manager of social services in Letterkenny in Donegal, in fact the wife of regional director John Smith? Because we think they are. 2. Who in the Irish government is trying to tell the Dochertys to place all the blame on the social worker in Mayo, Mary Malee, in order to deflect from the Dublin government? 3. What is the relationship between Sergeant John Falcon and Maria Houston, who uses various name spellings, who is the unqualified woman whom the Dochertys believe have been looking after their son without qualifications and hitting him? 4. What is the background and motivation of the Donegal lawyer Lisa Finnegan? 5. What is the current professional practice status and location of psychiatrist Kieran Smith, who tried to do a stitch-up on the Dochertys? 6. What is the current official location and the current actual practice location of the social worker Gabrielle McDade? It appears she lives in Londonderry, is registered in Londonderry, and works across the international border in Donegal, where she became runner-up for Irish Social Worker of the Year without apparently being registered with Irish Republic practice address. And allied to that was Gabrielle McDade, registered to practice social work in the Republic of Ireland before June 2016, at the time when she was dealing with the Dochertys. 7. What is Judge Paul Kelly's background with the Roman Catholic Church? 8. Since the court-appointed guardian Patricia Maloney does not drive, and we think she's actually South African by origin, but she's been in Ireland and Britain and doesn't drive, who was it who got the police in Northern Ireland and Scotland to give them an escort, as we think they had, to take the children, against their will actually, to their maternal grandmother's funeral in January 2016 in Perthshire, in Blairgowrie, we believe? This was Grandmother McLaren. Who gave them a police escort? Who authorised it? 9. Who bought Lawton House in County Offaly for James Riley, who was the previous children's minister in Ireland, because he's known to be a bad debtor for nearly €2 million? And which entities and persons previously purchased for Riley a care home, which he then had to sell? We believe that Riley is penniless and being manipulated by Irish, British or other interests. Who bought his houses? And 10, this is most important, can the public notify us of any people connected with anyone you can read about in this transcript who are known or reasonably suspected to be police informants or military and intelligence informants, to have an allegiance to Freemasonry, to any criminal group or political gangsters, or to the Roman Catholic Church, especially if that allegiance is much stronger than they publicly intimate, because people have sidled up to the Dochertys and pretended to be nominal Catholics or ex-Freemasons, and you find out that they're very much ardent Catholics and current Freemasons. And finally, on point 10, can the public tell us about anyone connected with any of these people who is living a lie about their denominational affiliation, their sources of wealth, the amount of their wealth, their political loyalty, or their sexuality, or their nationality?
Alex, just pausing for a couple of seconds there, because of course what you've just read out is incredible, because as a synopsis it's excellent what this family has been through, not as a result of harming or neglecting their children, but simply saying somebody approached in order to buy their son. And of course we're seeing the total breakdown of law and order and policing in order to which is permitting the cover-up of what is criminal activity, criminal common purpose. In fact, I'm using common purpose in a lawful sense there. So this is very, very serious stuff. Some people are saying this must get the lid off it. Well, the answer is it won't, unless we, the wider public, demand action from the people who are still sitting on the fence in government, for example. But I'd also like to end on the fact that we have been getting extremely good help from professional people. That includes the police. And Alex, I have to put this in because you won't be aware of this at the moment, but we've also been receiving some very good assistance from people that we know are Freemasons. So I'm going to gently suggest here that the rule should be to judge people by their actions. But I'm able to say with confidence this lunchtime that we know that there is huge disquiet within the Masonic movement as individuals start to realise how deep and how dirty this criminal activity is. So I'm trying to go down a middle path there, because we have received and we expect to receive further help from some of those sources. I'll let you reply if you want to come back on that, but I think it's an important thing to say.
Yes, we warmly welcome help from any quarters. I'm a fairly fundamentalist Protestant, and I'm ex-GCHQ and ex-Orange Order, so you'd expect me to say things about the IRA and Sinn Féin. But we've also got IRA gangsters or ex-gangsters helping the Dochertys and tipping them off who the bad guys are. The Dochertys are committed Catholics, and they hate the dioceses for what they've done in Ireland and Scotland, and especially the hangers-on around the bishops. But they continue to be helped by Christians of all denominations and none. So get in touch. You might think you're betraying your institution, but ask yourself, if you're so loyal to the Freemasonry or Roman Catholicism or whatever it is, that you're not going to help in this situation, then what kind of conscience have you got, and what kind of institution are you in? And remember that you're going to be judged in eternity for what you did as an individual, not as a member of a fraternity. And I'm going to close with the 6 names which didn't make the transcript, but which the Dochertys have asked us very specifically to go on more detail about. So if you're listening in Ireland and Scotland, more on these people, please. In Ireland, Enda Sherlock, Carmel McGilloway, John and Yvonne Hartnett, and John and Neil Doherty, D-O-H, Doherty, not related. And in Scotland, Robert Cassidy and Neil and Karen Mackay in Edinburgh. Those are the people we want to find out more about.
Alex, thank you very much. That was excellent, and it's up to all of us to follow through on this case, because of course this case can help so many other cases, and we've got thousands of children who are caught up in this criminal trafficking and abuse network being run by state agencies.